Welcome, everybody, to the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting on December 11th, 2023. Calling this meeting to order. The invocation is going to be led by Chaplain Mulberry. Pastor Mulberry.
Father, we thank you once again. We thank you for your love, for your kindness, and for the multitude of your tender mercy. God, we thank you because you've been so good. You brought us together once again for this opportunity to come to further the leading of the city. We pray, God, that you will crown the heads of the leadership with wisdom, insight, understanding, and all that we undergird to do. We pray, God, for your help. We need your help now in all our decision makings. God, that we would further the city for your glory. We thank you now and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
And Commissioner McCaskill, can you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Krantz, roll call, please.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Will Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Rufus Borum.
Present.
Commissioner Dustin Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Tammy McCaskill. Commissioner Terry Turner.
I'm present by Zoom.
Thank you, sir. Representative Teresa Jackson. Present. And Mayor Robbie Correa.
Present. Thank you.
We have a quorum in the chambers, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from October 9th, 2023?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Is that correction made on the?
I did.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. I'm going to open the floor to public comments, and this is for any general CRA concerns. You are limited to 3 minutes, and no action will be taken on these items. Is there anybody here for public comment? Mr. Griffin, would you like to come up, please? Griffith?
Good evening. My name is Bob Griffin. I live at 30. I usually don't need a microphone. I live at 309 River Street in the South District. And I have been living here for 12 years. Unlike a lot of other people, I was not born here. I'm a lifelong North Florida resident, but I chose Palatka to come to and retire. And part of it is the vital downtown that I see the potential for. The downtown has come a long ways in the last 12 years, and it's coming better, but it needs the support of a Main Street program to realize the full potential. Several things that can do is for a small town. A lot of small towns have decaying downtowns. It's a function of the big boxes moving out to Highway 19 and everything like that. Some of them have come back. Some of them have not. But one size doesn't fit all. That's why you need a focused effort of a Main Street director to make that happen. It will do several things: support local businesses, increase opportunities for shopping and dining, making it a more desirable place to live for the North District, South District, and everyone in the county. It will increase the tax base. Y'all have a tremendous job trying to get things done in Palatka with the limited tax base. A healthy Main Street will contribute to that tax base and help all of us achieve all the different goals that we want to achieve. It can also provide jobs for those who live in the area who may not have transportation, and provide jobs close to town where they can benefit from them. Another potential is affordable housing. If we had more people living along the Main Street along St. John's, affordable housing with apartments and condos, that will help revitalize the community as well. And it will offer more to visitors. It will bring visitors to town. We have several destination restaurants and shops in the downtown area that are bringing people in from downtown. I don't believe that was happening much when I moved here 12 years ago. So please consider supporting the Main Street function. It's a way to leverage and help Palatka achieve all the things it should do. Thank you.
Mr. Griffin? Is there anybody else here for public comment? Yeah, you specific, a general item, yeah. Is there anybody here for public comment, general item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Thank you. And on to regular business, discussion direction, Krill Avenue traffic calming concept. We have some folks here, correct, that are going to give us a presentation. Dell's zooming in.
Yes, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So if I may speak on this item, I believe we do have two representatives from the state in the audience, James Triggers and Justin Garland. Spoke with him prior to, I guess, the start of this meeting. But we're seeking some direction as regards to what potential solutions we would like to see at the intersection of State Road 20 and Short Grill or Hawkins. And I believe that the state also may have some answers regarding the previous question as to whether or not they would produce a traffic study. From my standpoint, I would not, I think a traffic study would be great, but it may not necessarily be necessary for their proposal. So if they are in the audience, I would direct them to, I guess, begin their presentation. And if you have any questions specifically, we can answer them as best as we can.
Thank you. Could you please give us your name and address for the record?
Absolutely. My name is Jamie Driggers. I'm the Planning and Environmental Management Engineer for the District 2 DOT. Of course, I reside in Live Oak, Florida, but I'm being responsible today for DOT. But just to kind of carry the conversation, and of course, I'm sure you all have heard, there's two different scenarios that I'm going to talk about today. The first is truck traffic utilizing Krill Avenue, which we've been taking on. We're working on a plan to basically put enhanced signage on the ground to accentuate the truck route to basically push truck traffic up to remain on US 17 and 19. We've also working with the wayfinding applications. A lot of the truck drivers that are out of town are just utilizing that application. It's going to take them the path of least resistance. So the ideal is we push them to the truck route. And then we're also doing an education outreach campaign where we're working with the local trucking companies right now to really spotlight that truck route and get them off of Krill. So that's one conversation. The second is specific to Krill and the intermix of through traffic on the Krill local network versus the State Road 20 system. And as Dale introduced, there is that opportunity to do a study. We have a lot of experience, in these types of areas and these types of situations. So what we want to do is, what we want to present is not a first and final. It's just one scenario of something you may be able to put on the ground. Yes, you can put money into study. A study's going to get you a study. This would be a scenario where you could actually put something on the ground and make a difference. When you talk about changing access, restricting or moving traffic patterns, you're required by statute to go to a public meeting. So the one engagement that Jonathan and I had was that we would take a stab at coming up with an alternative. And once again, this is just a scenario that you could look to pursue, but ultimately we'd want to partner with the city and go to the public and really get a true input from the community on the change and to make sure that has the best and maximum benefit for the community. So at this time, I got Justin Garland with me. I'll let you maybe come this side just so you all can see it. But of course, the first is just the local network. And when I talk about Krill Avenue, I'm talking specific to where State Road 20 changes to 9th Street right there at the intersection of Krill. And then of course, the local network continues on. And then we'll go to the next slide. And this is simply a concept that would ultimately what you would do is we would put in curb, we would put in a grassed area, and then we'd use landscaping just so you have a visual cue so folks don't, we don't want them to drive through that connection. And then you would of course Morris to Krill, to maintain that connection. Once again, this is just one solution. The ideal is local traffic would go up to the next network of streets, come back around, but this would essentially push that through traffic back to State Road 20 and ultimately go up to US 17. So once again, we're not pushing a solution today. We just wanted to have a conversation informally and get your thoughts. If it was something, if there are other things we need to consider, or even in the sense of what Dale introduced, look at a grander study, we can do that. But we wanted to start with something you could put on the ground. I do not want to introduce that this is the first and final. I think it'd be a series of this would be a first step. And then you kind of see how the traffic operates. A study, when you talk about feasibility, you talk about operations, it's a forecast of how people are going to react A lot of times what we forecast versus what you see in the real world can be very vastly different. And that's where I want to be honest that I know when we get into rural communities, every dollar is very valuable. And I would not want to steer you towards a big master study if I didn't feel like it had a major return on investment. It may not. That's just the caution or the cautious risk of it. But this is one solution. Like I say, we're not pushing this. We're just saying, want to get your input. If we want to go further into it, we could absolutely set up an engagement, go to the public and really get a vibe from the community on how they would feel about this change in access.
Okay, anybody have any
Can I see
questions?
the first one again?
Yep.
Oh, just a part.
One question. What on the other one, when you make the modification, the area where the green, you say you're gonna have like grass area?
It would be, what we would
Right.
try to do is there's a landscaping project planned along this corridor. And the idea was, I know there's a lot of palms and a lot of different, really want tall vertical, opportunities really for enhance sight and accessibility. So what we would do, this would all be a green space, grass. And then these little red and green dots represent a taller vegetation that would really block sight. Cause you got to worry about cars. You're still going to come here to the stop bar. So you've got headlights and just really want to make it stand out so that folks don't drive through it. It's considering
Right,
the name.
basically, you're not, you got, it's like a do not enter, but it's not a true sign saying
Yeah.
do not enter. You just got grass and shrubbery or whatever it may be right there. So you can come out and you can make a right going, no?
No,
Come
you
right
would,
there?
Morris
Yeah.
to Creel would
It's
remain
all
a
the way
connect.
pushed up to.
Yeah.
Close the road.
Yeah, this
Okay.
would close access so that
I'm just looking at
'cause-
the area
yeah.
where the white, lines
that's,
come out.
that's side, the
Okay, it
sidewalk
looked like-
connection.
Cause traffic can travel there, right?
No,
Morris to Creel will be maintained, but that through movement from Creel to Creel, that would be bisected where it'd be two separate systems. So you would ultimately have to go down if you go to the next.
Well, I was just trying to understand that when where you got the road where Creel is, right? I can see Creel. But then the white space there, what is that?
That's sidewalk.
that's
what?
sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, just the restoring the sidewalk. And of course,
Yeah.
these are the stop bar, stop signs, and you'd have
Okay.
crosswalks.
I
for-
just need to understand.
And
what
we're
that
far
meant,
away
yeah.
and we're going to leave both of these exhibits with you. So if you have any questions later, we'll definitely come back. But we just wanted to start the conversation. We want to be realistic as far as expectations. And we got a great relationship with Jonathan. Of course, met Dale today. So, we're here to partner. We just want to make sure that it's a community driven solution, your community, your vision. And we're not just wedging a solution. We're doing something that actually bought into by the community is what we're hoping to accomplish.
Yes, sir.
So second question, DOT, I think Miss Robertson requested some time ago that DOT did a study. So you familiar with that study? And if you are, what results did that study yield? What recommendations did they have at that time?
I'll be honest with you. I've only been involved probably for a month or so. But I guess just in the general nature, I've been involved in a lot of studies, especially in smaller municipalities and I've seen the results vary. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll,
Excuse me, could you, just for the minute, so there's too many, Jason.
I will go back and I'll try to track down that original study. I wasn't aware that a study had been performed as far as that magnitude. Maybe it has, maybe there's solutions.
That's how it was brought to us. And really not to reintroduce the entire conversation, but it was because of safety issue. So you put high vegetation in that area. I'm just thinking, I think the traffic control devices, like a roundabout, that's something that we could talk about as well? Or
Well-
yes, that's.
I'll be honest,
Exactly.
the problem statement that we were trying to address was the through traffic utilizing the local Creel network. And it was separating, if they're through town traffic, they would actually go out, they would stay on the state road system versus going to that local network. So if you introduced a roundabout, it would slow them down, but they would still be,
Going through the
they would
neighborhood.
still be going through the neighborhoods. This completely isolates the neighborhood to a local traffic pattern versus through.
And I'm not sure, but we do have people in the audience. It was also a safety issue as well. So it wasn't just to stop the traffic going through. I think there was some safety concerns that were brought up by the residents in that area. So, you know, are we gonna have them not run into other cars and run into trees? So that's something that.
Yeah,
I
and
think-
I'll say this, I mean, I know we have trees here. We've also talked about, fencing. There's many avenues. I think the biggest message I want to carry today is this would be a dramatic change in access. Considering the nature of the community, would the community even entertain this type of change? And then if, let's say we don't like landscaping, the idea is just having a visual barrier to separate, motorists sitting here from a motorist that's coming around that curve. And we can explore many other options. Landscaping is just landscaping aligns with what is currently there, and it can be expanded where it's just a contiguous of the existing is why we targeted that. And we're early, like I say, we've got a couple hours in laying this out. Told Jonathan I'd be glad to just say, hey, this is a starting point. Let's see where it goes. If we still want to pursue a study or refresh that, absolutely open to that. We just wanted to understand the dynamic of the community so we'd put our resources in the right places.
And I think the most recent accidents, as I've heard from the people that live in that immediate area, have started with people exiting off the road closer to Osceola, the street slightly up from there, and kind of curving in and taking out signs and ending up in somebody's front yard. This would be a buffer that would at least slow that down, if not stop it completely. This concept, I'm sure there are others. I'm not a traffic engineer, but there are others as well. But I think this is a nice version of it. Whether it's the most effective, I don't know, but when you're talking about the truck traffic, it's about, again, signage prior to them even getting to this point, well before that on 19 and 17, so that they know it's not a truck route.
Yeah.
And they're not even which there are a lot of them coming through here now.
And
And that's been an
those
issue.
signs are being manufactured currently. I would expect in the next few weeks, you'll actually see them on the ground.
Does anybody else have anything? I'm going to open it up to public comment from people that have submitted cards on this particular topic. Ms. Robinson?
Thank you, Mayor. And by the way, I think you're a fabulous leader.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
My name's Lynn Robertson. I live on 410 South 9th Street. It's the most dangerous corner in Palatka. Since I last saw you, there were 3 accidents, serious accidents. One in particular involved a pickup truck that smashed the only vehicle of a Hispanic family. They had no car to go to work. They need to work. Their kids need to go to school. For the education of our lovely DOT folks that showed up, by the way, I wrote your director a letter in September and I never heard from him. So, the traffic study in 2017 said at that time 10,000 vehicles per day were going on the corridor from down Krill around the corner to South 9th to Reed. I did some research and found that in 4 years, the number of accidents between South Palm and Reed Street were 300 accidents in 4 years. And those are reported accidents. My neighbor's house just got smacked. My whole front yard is full of debris from one wreck, the family with no car now.
Ms. Robinson, could you just stand back from the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why we're getting all that
Usually
loud
people can't
feedback.
hear me.
Sorry.
Sorry. Anyway, that's my thought. I really think we need to do something about this because it is so hazardous to people who want to enjoy the 2-lane residential aspect of Krill and South 9th. And I would like to throw in just a tiny little word in favor of downtown help. Downtown is looking wonderful, but it could be a lot more wonderful if it had a focused director whose sole job it was to enhance the livability of downtown. Thank you very much and happy Christmas.
Thank you. League of Kitchens?
Allegra Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. I looked at the map from DOT, which is in your packet. It's not a bad idea. Morris Street will simply turn to the right by Larry Beaton's house and go on down where Krill is. What it will do is what DOT said in one of their memos that's also in your packet, talking about moving traffic. This will move the problem that's supposed to be on Krill Avenue. It will move it to Laurel Street. People, instead of going straight down Krill to get to Laurel Street, they will now turn on Laurel Street and go past the ball field to get to the same area. You're just moving the same problem down. And the ball field is already a lot of traffic there from the people going to the ball games, Rotary Field. So I think this is just moving the problem down. The problem is not the road and it's not the traffic per se. The problem is the drivers who are drunk, high on drugs, texting, not paying attention. They are the ones that are causing the problem. And Larry Beaton, I'm going to quote him, he had an idea on the curve. The problem is actually the curve on State Road 20. It's not going straight down Krill Avenue to Laurel Street. The curve on State Road 20 is where people, they missed the curve, and it wasn't Osceola Street. The lady that hit Larry's house a few days ago came straight down Krill, 19-year-old from University of Florida, came straight down Krill, somehow missed the curve completely, hit the historic district sign and hit a palm tree and knocked it into Larry's porch. Larry said, I'd break away one of the breakaway curve rails that you see that DOT puts up. That would be ideal. That would stop the people from missing that curve on Krill Avenue. You leave this open. If you want to close this, that's fine. This is a good idea, but you got to have a lot of big trees because people with trucks are going to be driving right through there and they're going to be real angry like they were when a previous commission tried to close part of River Street. Real big problem. And it will move the traffic down to Laurel Street by Rotary Field, which is another big problem. But if you want to do it, this is not a bad idea. If Larry doesn't object, he lives there. But again, the problem is on Krill Avenue at the curve. So if DOT would put a breakaway rail on Krill from close to Osceola all the way down to right about where the Morris Street hits, I think it would slow down people. If they hit that, they're not going to go over to Larry's house, and at least it would slow the cars down. And I think that's what needs to be done for Krill Avenue. And the traffic study, probably we don't need another traffic study. We know there's traffic on there. But DOT signs may get the traffic to go someplace else. There's 10,000 cars a day on River Street. I'm surprised there's that few on State Road 20 because it's bumper to bumper traffic. When I try to get off on Mosley to Krill Avenue, it's horrible. But regardless, you're going to move the problem down further where there's already traffic from people playing the ball games, the kids and stuff. That's going to be an issue. But if you want to do it, this is not a bad idea. If Larry's for it, he lives there. I don't. I think it's not a bad idea, but just know you're moving the problem down. You're not solving it. But get with DOT and try to get that breakaway on that curve, and that'll stop
Okay.
people from going into Larry's house.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchen. Mr. Meehan?
Bernard Meehan, 815 Laurel Street. I guess the first topic might be on Krill at the curve. And I think it's something that's similar, probably should be done similarly to what was done on 100 in San Mateo heading out to Bunnell. There's no warning signs up on Krill as you come towards the railroad track. Really a good curve sign and a flashing light saying, it's 20 miles, 25 miles an hour, whatever. But there should be information coming from Palm Avenue into the railroad track, signs there saying, all right, slow down. We've got a dangerous curve, that taken care of. Now, we move into, as Ms. Kitchen just mentioned, we swing the traffic down 9th Street. Okay, now we have Laurel, we have Oak, we have St. John's. We have a traffic light at St. John's. That traffic light does not coincide with the traffic light on Reed Street. You're going to have a tremendous backup when that traffic light turns red. The other one is not timed right. So now everybody's going to start looking to come down Laurel Street, which they already do. From Laurel to River, there's no stop sign. It becomes, as probably Chief Shaw could know, basically an interstate. They're hauling what down that street both ways. And I know there's been some police activity since the last meeting we had. But we're going to start having issues on Laurel, on Oak, on St. John's, traffic cutting over, and then they're going to cut up 7th Street or 5th Street to try to catch the traffic lights, et cetera. And it's going to be a madhouse. This is great, the blocking off of Short Krill. I think it's a great idea. But again, we're going to take all that traffic and we're going to back it up from St. John's, probably to the curb if those lights get bad. And then even when you move up to Reed Street. So we got to take into consideration that, but we also have to take into consideration these side streets. I mean, I sit in front of Rotary Park and I know what it's like some nights when softball's going on, and then we've got the Campbell Building with Little Sprouts and the activity that's going on in there. And that little triangle, 7th Street, Krill, 8th Street, Laurel, we still have some issues there with people blowing that stop sign. This will cut a lot of that out, but we still have some major things we really need to consider in that little quadrant right there. I have no problem with traffic coming out of Morris and turning right and cutting up. They want to cut up at Carr Street or they want to cut up 8th Street to get over to Krill or down on River, or excuse me, Laurel. But we're going to have to look at the speed on Laurel because, like I said, there's no stop signs and it's going to become very dangerous with all the activity on that front porch of Laurel in that 800 block. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roach?
Cheryl Roach, 312 Dodge. I am in support of this. I was one of the active residents of the neighborhood that suggested this. I live very close. My concern pertaining to this sketch would be the sidewalk access doesn't seem to be adequate or improved in any capacity. I walk the neighborhood regularly, and at this point, you have to cross over 9th Street onto the sidewalk, which is more towards the railroad tracks to go anywhere in that neighborhood. So I would like to see some more sidewalks added to the green space there. Bottom line, this is not just about traffic calming on the Krill and into the 9th. This is about giving some privacy and keeping the trucks out of my neighborhood, keeping people from cutting through my neighborhood to access the bridge, going to work, going to a party, going to shop, whatever they do. All you have to do is go down Krill heading towards 19 at any time of the day, and you can see the increase in traffic. It's here. It's here. The influx has occurred. The development is occurring. Central Florida has been discovered by everybody that were predominantly just developing the coast. I've lived in the state since 1980. I lived in Clearwater, Florida, and St. Petersburg. I know about the traffic problems they have there. I lived in South Florida for close to 35 years. I know about the traffic problems. This is a very inexpensive solution that could dramatically impact the downtown area. And as far as the education of people and driving habits, there are times when you just have to redirect them. And yes, they may not be happy, but you just need to ensure safety for a residential neighborhood that happens to be right on the cusp of the downtown area. And it's not respected as such. It's not a thoroughfare. It's not a shortcut. And I love the green space idea. I would just like to see more sidewalks. And please, you don't need to do another study. I mean, enough of the studies are like over the top at this point. I think that the presentation they provided is quite adequate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment on this topic?
May I do an after the fact part?
Yes. Come up, Mr. Beaton.
Oh, thank you. Will it reach?
Okay.
If not, I can make it up there. Am I, is it big enough? Okay, all right. I'm Larry Beaton. I live at 627 Krill Avenue. The picture up here, the house on the right side of the picture is my house. I'm a third generation to live in that house. It was built in 1905 by my grandfather. Within the last 2 years, there's been a traffic fatality on this corner and 2 cars coming into my yard. First time they struck a palm tree out next to the Krill Avenue section in front of my house. And Sunday before last, they demolished the South Historic Neighborhood sign in the parkway, the city property across the street in the curve. And they came all the way across Morris Street, across I own the vacant lot there on the corner also, came across my lot and then hit the palm tree next to my porch and pushed a 70-foot palm tree over into my upstairs porch. And I'm still getting estimates for repair of that damage. The woman survived the crash, but non-life-threatening injuries. So it's, I'm talking about this, but probably not at the right meeting, because the issue that DOT is proposing some suggestions for is in the CRA, but the curb is not. It's outside the CRA, so it's going to have to be a discussion of the general city commission about that. The idea of, I won't take all the credit that Ms. Kitchens gave to me for the idea about guardrail. It actually came from the city police officer who worked the traffic crash. He said, you know, where they have guardrail next to the drainage ditch by the cemetery, if they would come on across Osceola and extend that around the curve, that would keep people from driving off the curve. It would be a breakaway, as all of those are. So, you know, it's not, it's gonna give, but it would keep people from coming across that greenway, because the fatality, the woman and the male driver struck one of the trees in the greenway there and was killed as a result of the accident. But I mean, I've lived in that house for most of my life, and I can tell you 50, 60 years ago, there were bad crashes on that curve. FPL used to have their right-of-way down there, and our lights usually went out once a month from somebody striking poles along that side. But I think the idea of the greenway across the front, one thing that wasn't mentioned earlier, you can also come, people are calling it used to be Hawkins Street, but people can come to the stop sign shown in the center of the picture at the top, and they can turn left onto Morris Street also. I don't think they mentioned that earlier. So you can, there's actually travel both ways there. You just can't go into the curb. And what most people do when they come to that stop sign that I'm referencing, they will not stop at the stop sign. They'll curve around to the north so they can see the traffic that comes south of that street. And by positioning themselves out there, there's been some near crashes where people are just trying to get visibility on that corner. So it is not just to slow the traffic down on that section of the Krill, but it is also a safety issue about what's being proposed for the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beaton. Is there anybody else here for public comment on this topic? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Any further discussion or recommendations based on this presentation and questions?
And also too, we're hearing from the people who live in the immediate area, in addition to, so I think having further conversations with others in the area would be what I would like to see.
I can agree with that, except that we don't want, I also think that we have to keep this moving. I'm not saying there's a decision needed today, but we need to keep this topic moving because this has been an issue.
I'm not holding you up. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
I'm
what
not
I would
saying
like to
you-
see.
I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying we want to keep it in the forefront. I wasn't saying you were doing that.
So Mayor, how do we, can we come up with the possible next steps? Being that the conversation has already begun, what can we expect or what is needed from us in order for us to keep this at the forefront of our minds and DOT's minds?
The desire, of course, is where Jonathan and I had partnered, is that, you know, we want to walk hand in hand. probably the next opportunity would be to take this concept to the public. Of course, we can show varying different types of alternatives, you know, some fence, some landscape. Once again, it's a community-based solution, but we can introduce to the public. The major change would be the access. Once again, just to repeat, this is not a first and final. I very well know that traffic is going to orient to other locations. So this may be a first step. We monitor. Yes, we can do a feasibility. We can spend some money on a study and we can speculate, or we can just on the ground, watch, monitor, adjust, watch, monitor, adjust. And I do apologize if you have reached out and you haven't got a response. At this point, I'm the lead on it, and I'll leave my business card with you as well. But I've got a great relationship with Jonathan. If there are other things that need to be explored in the grander sense of the community, we're definitely here to push those things forward. But when Jonathan, I know he's out sick today, but if you would like to communicate back to Jonathan that we start the conversation of taking that to public, we would basically find a place here local, and we would send out public notices that say, hey, we're proposing a change. Just like we're doing today, we would just take comments and we would adjust the plan based on that feedback from the community. And if there's ultimately, majority buy-in, the next step would be how can we bring this to life and actually put it on the ground.
So, Mayor, if I may, as we converse as a board, how quickly would we like to get this to the public?
Say as quick as possible.
I concur. I think we should try to keep this moving along, and if the public meeting is the next step, that would be great. This needs to be, I think, set up between Jonathan and yourself at this point, come up with some potential dates.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
Yeah, today's opportunity is just to
Right.
I don't know the community
Right.
that you all do, so just making sure that we're not pushing a solution that is a no, but heck no. At this point, I feel very positive that this is a good first step. Well, knowing we need to look further, but we can build on this. But yeah, Jonathan just needs to cue me, and then next step is scheduling that engagement. We have to go through public notices and formalize it. But we can do that. We do it all the time. So,
Okay, great. Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
all right, thank you so much.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
would the CRA fund this, or would DOT fund it, or why are we discussing it at a CRA meeting? Is our funding necessary?
Well, part of it is in the CRA, and I don't think that's been determined yet. I think this is something that has to come out of this once we have somewhat of a plan. And could you, yes, from the DOT perspective.
At this point, we don't have anything funded in the program. The ideal, once again, is to get that buy-in for a solution. The next step is just a matter of pace, the timing of a DOT, work program development project, or look at opportunities locally driven. So that still can be discussed, still more to come.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Commissioner Turner?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Thank you. Thank you
so
very much. On to the CRA/Main Street Director discussion, and this is on here based on, and you saw in your packet, because information was requested at the last CRA board meeting, and although the budget was amended to remove the funding for this position, again, it's in response to that request for additional information. Has everybody had an opportunity to read that information? And is there any questions or discussion, or is it just something you want to cogitate about and talk about in the future, or not talk about at all? How would we like to proceed? Commissioner McCaskill?
Here, I think we should hear everybody.
Okay, we did have input from Mr. who kind of left, actually. Is there anybody else here who wants to speak to public comment on this particular topic? I'm sorry. Yes, come on, Ms. Kitchen.
Allegra Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. And I'll just be very brief. We had the Main Street program in Palatka for 32 years. It did none of the things that it says it will do. It did none of the things that some of the citizens wanted to do. And part of the things the citizens wanted, it doesn't even do in the first place. 32 years, it didn't work. From 1983 till 2015, we ended the program. It did not work. So I don't think it's going to work now. But if you decide to go ahead with the Main Street Director, CRA Director, joint position, then you basically are giving a go-ahead to the Main Street program, because the argument will be, well, you've already got the director, why not have the program? But it didn't work for 32 years. It started out not real bad when it started out, and then it went really downhill. The majority of Palatka people did not like it. The majority of downtown merchants, they talked to me about it. I was on the commission, they hated it. So I'm just telling you what happened in that time. Maybe it'll be different this time. I doubt it. You know, once bitten, twice shy. Want to try it again? Go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment on this topic? And please fill out your card, name and address. for
I
the
will,
record.
as soon as I'm done, I will. Cheryl Roach, 312 Dodge Street. How many meetings have we had with these same conversations over and over again? I'm fine to do it again. I have no problem. Bottom line, a CR director should be mandatory at this point. The Main Street program has to be implemented. I have been in many meetings where the only logical way to financially and fiscally move forward is to combine the two. It has been stated more than once that there just doesn't seem to be enough funding for separate, and there is a perception that there's just doesn't seem to be enough work for separate. So really doesn't make a lot of sense. I am not as prepared as I like to be, but I did attend the last meeting where there was a city budget presentation, and the TIF had minuscule appearance on the pie chart, like probably 2% of spending. My recollection, and I don't believe that you are here. Thank you. I'm sorry. Somewhere close to $700,000 was brought in, and probably only around $60,000 was spent. Am I correct?
Unfortunately, I didn't bring that with me.
But
That's fine,
just
that's
recollection.
Very small.
Yeah,
spend.
very recollection. You know, we're sitting on a lot of money, and we probably have been for years. And I am under the impression that possibly it's starting to be questioned by the feds. I think it's time to finally understand the reality of what our CRA is supposed to be doing, do it, and start incorporating everybody in the city into that program for the betterment. And in that process, we will be able to incorporate all. The implementation of this program in the 80s was designated as such, and it is being ignored. We are being treated as an inconvenience and not as an asset. And that is very, very unfortunate, because the reality of what this downtown could be is just unlimited. And it could really be the right place at the right time right now to do it. And I truly hope that, number one, we can get through the freeze of any kinds of changes, planning, hiring, whatever, and maybe make 2024 something that will better all of Palatka and incorporate all of Palatka in it. And the downtown is relevant, and it does need to be addressed fairly and legally. Thank you.
Mr. Hafner?
Jerry Hafner, 122 Hilty Lane in East Palatka. I had no intention of speaking today. I didn't realize where this meeting was going. Did any of you happen to attend a function over in Hastings 2 weeks ago?
Yes, it was fabulous. Okay.
I'm talking to these folks up here.
Yeah.
We have one. Any of the others? That's the kind of thing that Main Street starts doing for a community. Have you been down Main Street in Hastings lately? There's a developer that's come there because of the knowledge that Main Street could come there and do a lot of good things for them. That has bought a bunch of the buildings. They fixed them up. They have a great appearance. They're going to go places. They have people in that community who are smart enough to understand what a Main Street program can do for a city. It's something you folks really need to think about. Now, I always hear this argument. Main Street was here since 1982 or whenever. The Main Street program in Palatka has never, ever been run like a true Main Street program. If all of you would look into Main Street and what it is, how it's supposed to operate, I think you might be impressed, feel a little bit different about it. But until we wake up in this community, Palatka is going to be dead the way it is now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Mr. Meehan?
Bernard Meehan, 815 Laurel Street. I am one that is in favor of the downtown program. I'm starting to see, I've only been here 3 years, but I've been in the area most of my life. Starting to see some encouragement because there is starting to come some new businesses coming into downtown. There's an effort, I think, that other people want to come in here. The one thing we've got to get done is we've got to get the street, the sidewalks, and everything taken care of, because it really is a distraction for people coming in. They don't like coming in because it's dangerous. The roads are bad, the sidewalks are bad, but looking at the businesses that are downtown, and I walk downtown twice a day at least, and I see what's coming. We've got some great things, and I think there's going to be potential for greater things. And we as a city, as a commission, need to come together. We're better together. We've got to make this a viable concept. We can't live in the past. It's over. It's gone. We have to move forward. Let's take the blinders off and look at this from a perspective of what the potential that downtown Palatka has. And I'm not just talking Monday through Friday with the businesses there. What comes in on the weekends? We've got cruise ships coming in 3-4 times a year. These people are coming. It's becoming a destination. We'll never become a St. Augustine. And I don't want to use the term never, but Palatka has been found. This area has been found, and the downtown needs to be revitalized. And there are people that are already starting to do it, and we need to continue to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment about this particular agenda item? Seeing none, close public comment.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Commissioner Turner?
did I understand at the beginning of this presentation that you said that at the last CRA meeting, which I was unable to attend, that the funding for the CRA Main Street manager was removed from the budget?
No, I was actually at the last city commission meeting. It wasn't the CRA.
I got
And
you.
at the last city commission meeting, the commission amended the budget to remove the funding for that position and to include funding for legislative aid positions. So that was DC'd at the last commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Barham, you have anything you want to input? I'm going around the table.
I have no comments.
Okay, Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Campbell. Okay, thank you. So at this point, if everybody can take a look at the information, we'll put this on the agenda, the discussion about Main Street. Obviously, the Main Street Director position isn't funded at this point in time, but we have further data and information, and it will be helpful to discuss it in the future. Yes.
With respect, you omitted asking Ms. Jackson if she had any comment.
I'm sorry, that was my fault. Okay, thank you. My apologies. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is a discussion recommendation, allocation of Hammock Hall 429 Kirby Street sale proceeds. Ms. Cardi, thank you.
And good evening, everyone. Hi. Anyway, in lieu of the fact that interim city manager is not here, I will do my best effort to explain what we understand about the Hammock Hall sale, which was closed November 1st, 2023. What we were trying to figure out is how do we apply or allocate the proceeds that were received from the sales. From the research that we've been able to conduct, we realized that the Hammocks Hall was purchased with loan proceeds from SunTrust for $59,000 back in 2001. And then in 2002, there were capital improvement of about $83,000. So the total capital costs incurred thus far was $151,000. Wait a minute, it was $142,000. The property sold for $151,000 with closing costs of $11,575. So the net proceeds, the check that we received was $139,440. That means that the property sold at a loss of about $3,000. So we've done research. We have not yet been successful in finding documentation going back to the years of 2001 through 2006. We've not found that yet. Our question is, who made the payments to the loan? And if we could figure that out, then we could definitively say that this is the fund that should receive the money. We do see with the documents that we were able to secure that initially, when the purchase was being approved, that there was a statement made that the South Historic District was going to pay lease payments to the general fund. However, we've not been able to confirm anything like that, that was just a statement, but nothing that we can see that happened. So our real question is trying to confirm who actually, which fund, general fund or TIF fund, which fund made the payments for the loan. If the general fund made those payments, then they're entitled, general fund is entitled to receive the proceeds. If South Historic made the payments, then they would be entitled. We were also able searching for any operating expenses that had been paid by either fund. We did find that TIF fund from the years of 2012 to 2023 did pay $8,687. General fund paid $7,532. And that's what we've been able to find thus far. So I believe that staff is requesting guidance from the board as to do you have any guidance as to how you would like us to allocate the net proceeds that were received of $139,000? And that's why it's on the agenda.
Situation being that if we can identify and we give direction and the direction is not accurate, I'm a tad bit concerned with giving direction to that. I would ask, none of our staff was here during that time in finance?
None.
It's a completely new.
No one was here during the years of 2001 through 2006, 2001 through 2006. And the reason why those years are pertinent, because it was a 5-year loan. So, right.
I'm more concerned, even when you said the 8,000 and the 7,000, of why there was 2 different funds paying towards something. So I honestly, I don't feel comfortable with giving direction at this moment. I would like to bring legal in to kind of give a little bit more guidance so that we won't put ourselves in a position that will come back and eventually bite us.
Okay.
Commissioner Campbell, I think you're exactly right. Dispersing funds without knowing what entity should receive them at this point would be a mistake because we would be subject to a potential clawback of those funds. So perhaps some guidance should be in the form of trying to rule out an entity. You mentioned the South Historic Neighborhood Association. If we could get documentation on their finances for the years in question,
Right.
That could provide some guidance. If there's no record of payment, then we could rule them out as the entity that should receive the funds.
And consistent with your recommendation, we are now trying to find other ways to look for the CAFR. And the CAFR is that's our financial statement officially. So I am currently pursuing how can I find CAFR for the years of 2001 through 2006. We do believe that there's another storage spot that we had a lot of staff members out sick last week. So hopefully we'll be able to go up in the storage area.
Commissioner. Warren?
Yes, I mean, and that's what I was gonna lend myself to the cap or whatever, but I think wherever the funds are, they need to be put in a line to where it's, wherever we can create a line maybe to make sure that those funds are untouched until we, can, identify where those funds, and how they were paid, I mean,
Mhm.
how the loan were paid and as it
Yes.
relates to that. So just sit them in a fund that we're not gonna be able to touch.
And that is exactly what we've done thus far.
So I would make the recommendation that we continue to allow staff to investigate
Right.
this matter and bring it back to us. Just keep it at the forefront of our conversation so that we don't lose sight of it. Again, I just don't feel comfortable with giving a recommendation that may possibly come back and hurt us in the long run as a city.
Thank you.
Commissioner Warren?
And like Commissioner Campbell was saying, just keep it on the agendas so that it does not drop off.
Okay,
And that way we'll not lose focus.
got it.
And I don't believe the South Historic Neighborhood Association ever contributed money. It was either via the South TIF or the general fund, to the best of my knowledge and my involvement in that organization. And I did speak to a person who was involved with the association at that time. And as far as the loan, he did not know. And I again wonder if the neighborhood, if the TIF made any payments towards that. But what he did believe was the renovation money, that 83,000 change, was again used, the South TIF money was used for that, South TIF money. But
Yes.
again, that needs to be verified clearly. Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Also in some of these documents, I see where, former mayor Paul Flagg and Alan Bush executed some of these documents. They're still around. So
Hmm.
let's use those resources. They have knowledge. And also, if we find out, as far as expenses, you didn't mention any expenses, but that's one of the reasons why we were talking about selling that property, because of the cost it was costing us for repairs. So also make certain that we have that in.
May I respond?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we did find a total of $16,218 paid in expenses that we could track here during the years of 2012 through 2023. And so that 16,000 was TIF paid out 8,600 and general fund paid 7,500.
We're talking about also the recapture from the 01, 06. So
That's what I'm
we're
looking
missing,
for.
right?
Yeah,
So you were talking about the payments, but I'm also talking about the maintenance costs.
if there was any maintenance during that
Absolutely.
period.
So we want to
Okay.
make sure we capture all of that.
Yes,
And-
sir.
And those two resources should know. I'm quite sure that they wouldn't.
And that was Bush, and who's the other individual?
Carl Flagg,
Carl
Reverend Flagg, Reverend Flagg.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. That's not, that's.
Is an audit maybe called for? Perhaps?
On audit, I think you need directing that to
Cardi?
Ms. Cardi, please.
A question, Ms. Cardi? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So would this lead us to a full-blown audit? Looking for, because like Commissioner Campbell said, it is disturbing that we don't have those.
Okay,
records.
so on the website, I do see the audits that are posted on the website. I also found, in our research, we found I think from 2008 through 2022. So there's been a lot of changes in those years with the way how they accumulate and save and store information. So of course, I'm looking at electronic initially, and we are now on the hunt for the hard documentation for the years that are not saved electronically. So saved electronically is 2008 all the way till right now. Prior to 2008, my memory is that they're telling me where they believe it's stored. So that's what we're going to do. We started looking on Friday. We went to 2 spots and we didn't find it. We found out there was a 3rd spot. So we'll go check that as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Boyle?
Right, and two, I think, I don't know if Betsy Driggers might be of some type of help as it relates to those records, and, because when we get the CAFRs, we get, I mean, everybody get a copy of the CAFR from the auditing firm.
Mhm.
So I'm almost sure that they, just started auditing in 2000, because we should have those, the report.
Well, we're
before
gonna
one of
go
those.
back as far as we can, but
Right.
we got this project within the past couple of weeks and we've been searching.
Okay.
So we do have a strategy. The strategy is to go to the hardcore storage of any financial documents prior to 2006, which or 8, I believe it was.
Thank you.
We will come back.
Documents are super important. I see the clerks don't do it.
Yeah.
So Betsy will be another good resource.
Ms. Swetlick, do you have a comment about this particular topic?
Yeah.
Please.
Annie Swetlick, 511 North 3rd Street. We occupied every Sunday Hammock Hall for about 15, 16 years, I would say. All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church every Sunday. I had a key and I was the one that was setting up the church every Sunday. And there was a closet in Hammock Hall and with a lot of boxes with paperwork, and there was also like a file cabinet, like a gray file cabinet full of paperwork. So I'm sure you can find some records there, but I don't know. We moved away like 2 years ago from that facility before it was sold. And I don't know who cleaned up Hammock Hall. But the persons that have been involved in cleaning up Hammock Hall, they must know what they have done with the paperwork.
To my recollection, again, you'll have to check, but the paperwork that was in there was the Florida Master Site files for the whole city, and it was the originals, and I let Lisa Walsh know that prior to and they were gone when I went in there the last time with the current owners. So it's been removed. Wherever that paperwork went, it's been removed, but it was Florida Master Site files, not any financial information.
With these updates, I would like to see these updates be at every meeting that we have, or even put in written form. It's not sitting well, that we're not able to kind of put our hands on something that should be readily available at any time. So I just want, again, with that recommendation, that we continue to make sure we get those constant updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any? Yeah, okay, well, one more with
Bernard Meehan, 815 Laurel Street. I would just like some clarification as to where the net proceeds from the sale of Hammock Hall could potentially fall. Will it fall back into strictly the city and the general fund and the TIF fund for the South Historic Neighborhood Associate or the South Historic District? Or will the South Historic Neighborhood Association be gifted any of those proceeds?
I don't think we have a clear answer because we're still trying to find out all of the information. But to the best, I don't think we have an answer, but most likely between the general fund and the South TIF. But again, that we need all the data to clarify where the funding should go because that has not been determined as we heard.
And that's exactly what we're pursuing. Gathering the information. There's like a 5-year window that we're searching for financial data because the accounting software was also changed. So during these periods.
Okay.
But we expect to put our hands on it, and when we do, we will bring it back
To this group.
to the commission, CRA.
Thank you. Any further public comment? closing public comment, and we're going to, any further discussion? Ms. Jackson? Commissioner Turner? Do you have anything you want to contribute to this?
I don't have
Thank
have
you.
anything at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else?
Nothing else, man.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to reports, Small Business Development Center, Mr. Paul.
Good evening, Rick Paul from the Small Business Development Center, 1100 Reed Street. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year to you. The season's here to be jolly and fun and so forth. In front of you all, the commissioners, you should have a report that University of North Florida SBDC gave out to you. The numbers portion I'll go over in just a minute. I wanted to go over the quarterly highlights as they have on there. Now, the data on this is through the third quarter, not through the fourth quarter. However, I'm going to bring you up to date to the fourth quarter as well. Obviously, there's professional development. I attended the Florida Small Business Development Center Network. It's a big event down in Fort Lauderdale this year. And also, I was shipped out several times to the west coast of Florida for SBA disaster recovery for the Hurricane Idalia. Other things I want to talk about, professional development, currently at about 31 hours, in workshops this year, about 88 hours. In outreach, I don't have in front of you yet. The numbers on the front of the SBA, or excuse me, the University of North Florida SBDC thing, the timing of some of this is a little crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over those numbers and I'm going to compare them to the 18 county region and then what I'm doing here in Putnam County. So it says some of the categories that we get our goals for the Small Business Development Center. Or one of them is the number of unique clients. In the sheet that you guys have, it doesn't say unique, but it says 37. Well, for the whole 18 county area, we're well over 2,000 for the year. And for me personally, I'm at 246. Next up comes capital raised. For the whole 18 county area, it's over 30 million. For up until this morning, I was actually number 2 in the 18 county region with $6.3 million. But since then, somebody's come in with higher funding. So part of that 6.3 was from last year. If you remember last year, I was kind of ignoring this also and telling you what was currently going on. And I said that there were some deals that were going to break, but they didn't get reported until the next year, which is this year. So that's why it says 6.3. By the way, as far as counties go in 18 county region, St. Johns County is first. Alachua County is second. Putnam County would be third. And then I believe it's Clay County would be fourth as far as dollars raised. New businesses created on the sheet that you have, it just says 1. Year to date, we have for the whole region 148, or for me personally, is 11. And then the final category is called total hours. On your sheet, it says 103 hours. For the whole UNF region, it's over 12,000 hours. For the county, and this is last week's data, 830 hours. So some of these numbers don't quite match up, but I'm trying to tell you what's currently year to date instead of this, because it's a little confusing. What I'd like to do is suggest a few things. The other counties have the Small Business Development Center linked on the county websites and on the city websites. I went and looked yesterday at the CRA website and the city of Palatka website and didn't see a link whatsoever to SBDC services. I think that would be very a good thing to put that link on there pretty directly instead of having to hunt and find it. And that would help increase the numbers here also. Also, I've been talking with Jonathan quite a bit about trying to pull together like a meet and greet, kind of a social. We did quite a bit of those the first year I was here. This time I want to call it the CRA meet and greet. So I'm thinking, and if check your calendars, please, February 20th, we already have the location, which would be Azalea City Brewing Company, from 4:30 to 6:30 or to 6. And the goals of this would be to increase awareness about Palatka CRA, to increase the number of businesses in Palatka CRA, to build rapport amongst the businesses in the CRA with the city, SBDC chamber and the county, to introduce and make small businesses and potential small businesses aware of the government entity services that are here to help small businesses come into the area, and to increase networking amongst businesses and potential businesses in the CRA. So I'm thinking if you guys would check your calendar for me, if February 20th would look good, because I think it would be very nice if all the commissioners attended.
And that's a Tuesday, correct?
Yes, it is. It's a Tuesday evening. Does that sound like a good time where everybody could meet?
At this
So-
point, it seems fine, yes.
Okay, so the CRA board will be hosting it theoretically. Of course, there's no cost to you. The City of Palatka Community Affairs, City of Palatka Planning Department, local bankers, might as well bring some bankers in and have some conversations in case there are small businesses that have those questions. Of course, the SBDC would be there, and the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce would all be at this event. So that would be at the Azalea City Brewing Company, February 20th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Does that sound like a pretty good idea? I mean, that's trying to bring everybody together in one location, pushing CRA and trying to help build businesses in the downtown business core.
I'm in favor.
Excuse me?
I said I'm in favor.
Okay. I think it's a good possible opportunity, and I think it's great that we network with people and let them know what we have available to help them.
Okay.
As a small business owner, I agree. Anybody else? Okay, but thumbs up, we're
Right,
good.
well, and one other thing, I mean, have you had a chance to speak to the various local banks that we have here in Putnam to?
I can get a few of them there, I'm sure.
No, I'm
Oh.
talking about prior, I mean, just speaking with them to see what they can do to help small businesses trying to come off the ground.
Okay, so we get requests to help get funding for small businesses anywhere from $5,000 on up to several million. It just sort of depends. So there are programs out there, micro lenders that are helping out.
But not local banks.
No,
here?
the micro lenders aren't in Putnam County. They're in St. Augustine, Flagler, Duval counties.
That's something I think they need to explore. I mean, we need to try and see if we can get our local bankers to be able to help us help our local people who are trying to get their business lifted off the ground. They should not have to go and get funding from somewhere out in cyber world we got local bankers here that have money that should be able to kind of help our people.
So I'm trying to pull together a workshop on micro lending, and I was hoping to invite this group, which is funded partly by TD Bank and I forget the other bank. It's called Wealth Watchers. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, but we want some Putnam County money. We want some Putnam County money going to our Putnam County people who are trying to come off the ground.
Okay. So is there a title for this other than the CRA meet and greet? Because it's an open format where you just have tables, everybody has name tags on, and people just come and mingle. It's pretty much a social, what I would call it, but a meet and greet, kind of a networking event.
Great idea.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. Excuse me, Christmas.
That's you.
Merry Christmas. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Financial report for the CRA, Ms. Carney?
I have good news.
Wow.
First of all, I would like to update what we just spoke about, hammock halls. Our city clerk has found the other reservoir of information. She's informed me, and literally she has found the missing years that we could not put our hands on. and financing. So I'd like to publicly say thank you to our city clerk. And I will now take that information and complete the analysis that we were doing. So we will be able to update that and report with the next meeting. Looking at the financial report, as of October 31, 2023, we had not yet received any monies related to TIF. This report is limited to the 1 month ended October 31, 2023. We expect to receive 849,000 for TIF money. We have not received anything as of October 31. We expect to have a good portion of it received in the months of November and December. Going to page 2, the downtown district, we have spent $6,000. And the bulk of that was $3,000 for Small Business Development Center and $2,343 for the general administrative reimbursement. Going on to page 3, South Historic, we've spent a total of $886 for the 1 month ended October 31. The bulk of that $886 is the general reimbursement of $708. And we did spend $178 in dues. Finally, on page 4, North Historic, we spent $592, of which $498 is reimbursement for the general fund administrative expense and $94 for the dues. So for the 1 month ended October 31, 2023, TIF has spent $7,595. And we will have more pertinent information for the November because we know we did receive money in November. Okay, any questions?
Anything?
Thank you.
Thank you. Code Enforcement, CRA TIP District and Blight to Bright Report, Mr. Cutright.
Eddie Cutright, the Community Affairs Director / Code Enforcement. About 3.5 months ago, I was given the task to kind of do a focus study on the TIF district area on code enforcement. So as you will see in this next couple of slides shows, these will be areas that we did on the weekends. And then we walked the streets to talk to some of the communities, but it would not be included in the major issues they already had in our iWorks program in the CRF district. I thought you was gonna do this for me, son. You know, you've been doing it very well. Can you kind of get it? See, that's what I'm saying. On this map right here, and actually the map it's a bigger map in my office. If you definitely want to come take a look at it, to give you more detail and you can see it. But the slides behind this will show you and talk more about the zoning. And as you can see, it'll be zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and we did 5 this past weekend, which would be top right. That kind of like hot, blurry pink up top. Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of what area is that?
Do you want more specific information?
Yeah, because they got it blocked out, but I'd like to kind of get an idea of the name of the area.
Yeah, but you have to help me on the zoom in the street names. So that you see this would, the top right would be over there by the Bronson Mulholland House, Madison Street area.
Okay.
And it's just gonna be focused on just the TIF area, the north and south side. of TIF.
Not the whole.
Yeah.
All of that.
That's good.
Yeah. So then, now that we got our deal on the map, can you go back to the slides? No, you're fine, you're fine. Yeah. Can we? So now back to this, just identify violations. We walked the TIF neighborhood and tried to contact the citizens there, just let everybody know they was out here to kind of focus on the problems in that area. Next slide. Week 1, with zone one, as you see, zone one to be, because just consider it 1, 2, 3, 4. So zone two was week one, that'd be top over there by the River Center. We did that area at there. We had about 10 violations. Next slide, go next slide. Yes. Go now. I'm signing right now. It's not the time. Go back up, please. Yeah, so then week two, we had 5 violations, and that's actually over there by the Hammock Hall area and the district area. Next slide. And we will have a slide that shows you different areas in the violations and slide.
That was,
Yeah.
yeah, so it kind of jumped ahead.
Thank you. So week 4, we conducted foot presence in the area neighborhood.
This is 2, now we're on 2.
Week 2, zone 4.
Yeah, zone 4. You're skipping weeks for me. So week 1 is zone 2. And I wish we'd have the map up together. Can you kind of like split the screen, but you have the map up at one time? I got this. Show you what we had. So you can see the violations in each area. For some reason, some of your slide is not showing how mine look. What we can do is move this forward and then we can come back to the slides. Go down to the violation notice. Okay, so in the violation note, this is right here, it's gonna sum it up for you. In week 1, we noticed most of the area that we walked in week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 is major low violation issues. Mold and mildew was mainly one. And again, this was not including the TIF blight to blight issues that we already have that's already in our works. These are walking the street to see exactly what else is going on. If we already had you in the system, we did not put you in this chart. So week 1, as we did that, we did 8 mold and mildews, 3 rotten weakened wood properties, paint deterioration, and the other one is just trash and debris, high grown grass or whatever. And that's what we had. The average was mold and mildew was the main concern. In week 2, in that area that we hit on the map, and you'll see when we show you the map, the major violation was still mold and mildew and paint deterioration. As you can see, paint deterioration is one of the major issues we have in the TIF area. Week 3 is when we had a chance to actually, we got a lot more areas that we covered, and we had a lot of mold and mildew in that area and actually paint deterioration. Week 4 was actually the top right in the map, and you'll see it's more a lot of open areas, so we didn't have that many houses that we hit, but the main ones, we still had the same issues. So our main concern in the TIF district, besides the blight to bright program that we're already running, that already has cases on those major houses, are mainly mold and mildew and paint deterioration. Go ahead.
How are these people, when you found these things, how are they relayed to the resident?
Yes, everything was still done in normal code enforcement matter. We sent out a 10-day voluntary compliance letter. We have a February hearing date for all TIF issues that was not in compliance by the time we get to that hearing. So most of the residents in this area has either came back and complied with the situation or made us aware that they did receive the letter, with i.e. phone calls to me complaining about other things that we got going on, or coming up with solutions to fix the problem.
Thank you.
And it's Sonny, you can put the big map up there now. Just one big map. Yeah. And as you can see on the map, each squadron or each zone has the breakdown of the property areas that was in violation in that same chart that I showed you that had the numbers of violations in there. Now, we actually did zone, no pointer, but the top right, top right, that right there, that zone was did this past weekend. I had a chance to put it into the slide. And then we would continue to go zone 1, zone 3, zone 4. zone 2, then zone 4 and 5 until we finish the whole section. And we do this every other weekend. One of my code enforcement go out. Any questions?
Questions?
I just wanted to commend you for the work that you and your department is doing, and also I'm gonna add something to your plate, so
Okay.
you'll be seeing it come through.
Thank you. More than welcome. Like I said, we had a meeting today, my staff, and we got some areas that we want to focus on. And please bring any complaints, anything that you see, because the city itself is a wonderful city, and we want to get that blight removed so we can have that beautiful city that y'all grew up in. And then I'm learning to love.
Thank you. Anybody have any further questions of Mr. Cartwright?
Just appreciate him for all he's doing.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. That was the last item in reports. Do we have anything else?
I just have one quick question. Do we not hear from the South and North Historic Districts as we did once before?
I think we should add it. It's not on the agenda. It's the
I can speak to that, Madam Mayor. Before every meeting, about a week or two, depending, before the meeting, I always send a notification to the representatives of the 3 districts if they have any written report to provide. For the past several months, I haven't received a written report from either district.
Okay. And I think we should keep trying. And I know there's a lot of changes in the districts as far as what's going on, but yes, thank you. Anything else?
I think, we want to hear from the chief. I think he got something going on in his department that he might want to share with us about the Palatka Police Department, hosting a community.
That has to do with
Meeting?
the
Well, it does, because it's all part of the city of Palatka.
You sure? I'm not sure. But
No, it's just, I just want you at least to share why we had people here. As we have things that we come up in the community, this is, the sharing part of what we have going on in the city of Palatka. And I think this is a good time that we can do it, because the CRA meeting is pretty much over for the most part, but this is something that we need to share with the community. And it's the Palatka Police Department is hosting a community meeting, which you might be aware of.
Our quarterly zone meeting?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I just wasn't following what you were receiving.
I'm just reading the title of what it was, so.
I don't have the actual
have-
area in front of me, but we
I
are
have-
doing the quarterly zone meeting tomorrow.
I have it, I'll read it.
Sure.
All right, the Palatka Police Department is hosting a community meeting to address topics such as crime trends, crime prevention, and other community concerns. This event will take place on Tuesday, December 12th, tomorrow, starting at 6 p.m. at the Life Church located at 2701 Reed Street in the city. So, and the matters we'll be discussing is concerning Rolling Hills, Lemon Heights neighborhood, and the residents and businesses from Hudson Avenue west to Palm Avenue, but all city residents are welcome. And that's what we have here, all city residents, not just this CRA areas.
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody have anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So